The Nigerian telecom sector over time has been seen as the cash cow for the Nigerian economy. In 2001, the industry started with high hopes with Econet Wireless, MTN, and later Glo, before Etisalat joined the mobile network operators. Soon on, a country with a telling density of below 2% grew so rapidly, up to over 100% with internet penetration, put at over 40%. Today, the story is seen to be different. This visible change started with the fine imposed on MTN and its impact on its operations. Very recently, some of the telcos have continued to lay off a good number of its workforce, putting in doubt the stability of the telco industry. During the week, Nigerians were greeted by the taking over of Etisalat by a consortium of banks for a loan default. Today on the show, we are looking at the seeming rumble in the Nigeria telecom sector, a sector reportedly contributing about 11% to the Nigeria gross domestic product. With me in the studio to examine the issues are Engineer Bayo Banjo, former president of the Nigeria Internet Group, and Adebayo Biondu, a senior editor with African IT and Telecoms. I am Bayero Agabi. Gentlemen, you're welcome to the show.
It's my pleasure.
It's all right. So I think we begin this way. Let me start from the last, which is the Etisalat. Why do you think we can imagine this kind of situation taking over when the kind of business that they run is a kind of pay as you go? So why should they have problem paying back, back loans and all of that? And in any case, why should they even take the back loan?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think Etisalat was probably caught up with the drop in the value of the naira. I think most of their loans were in FX. And when you realistically, I mean, let's take the dollar, was around 160 and it went up to 300. At one point, I think, went over 400, which is like almost three times the value. You can understand how the time sort of caught up with them. As for taking loans, generally, it's all businesses, when you want to expand or develop, you do take some loans. You either increase your share capital with investors or you take loans. I think they were just caught up with the environment at that time.
Okay, so Bayo, why do you think it is difficult for even the bankers now to understand that, okay, is the FX issues and let us readjust, the loan framework and let's see how they're able to pay back? Or do you think there are other fundamental issues that need to be, sorted out?
Thank you. If you look at the size of the loan that Etisalat took, $1.2 billion, in this environment today, that is huge, and that is big enough to bring down any business, particularly for the bank. And if you look at the antecedents, the banks have had issues even in the past. Let's go back to 2001 when the Investors International London Limited, that special purpose vehicle that was used, for the sale of Nitel, that transaction failed, and the banks that were involved got their fingers burnt. About $118 million, a facility that was extended to IILL, was lost. In fact, the MD of that bank then, lost his job, and it became a matter of litigation. And coming to today, the issue of recession in Nigeria has played a very big role in defining the business of the entire Nigerian economy. And that is also taking a toll on even the telcos. And that is what has happened to Etisalat. When you see what has happened over time, and we have glossed over it. Over time, we have lost so many telcos. We have lost Multilinks, we have lost Starcoms, we have lost Zoom Mobile, we have lost Emis, and we never really bothered to ask questions because we thought we had alternatives. And that was why, when these things were happening, nobody really took a deep breath and asked questions that why are we losing? Because there are also fundamental issues that are attached to the losses that were recorded with the value chain. You have jobs being thrown away. And these guys that are losing their jobs are also impacting on the economy one way or the other. Because as a family man, as a Nigerian, we have the value system that we operate on. If I lose my job today, maybe 10 other persons are also cut off from their livelihood. And that is what has been happening. All of these companies that have lost people have also impacted negatively on the economy.
Let's take a look at other issues that they've always alluded to, issues of right of way, issues of the FX itself, which is a very new one, and then the issues of multiple taxation, and then the issues of power that they have to have backup to the backup of the backup of another power. They said those issues have not gone, and all of those issues are combined together to still affect their operations to the extent that their profit margin has become almost non-existent. So they are barely just flowing in the industry. What do you think can be responsible for this?
Well, generally it's the environment of corruption, generally. Because I remember years ago, and the management of MTN can attest to, where I said to them, do not announce your profits. You see, when you say I made such and such billion profit, the first thing that happens is that, generally, it's not a nice thing to say, but our government does behave, a bit like bandits. They exploit. Once you see someone's making money, you put a new tax. You try and raise your taxes to make your own out of it. And I think that essentially is what happened. Till today, I don't know what other operators are making, but the impression is that telcos are making so much money. So everybody from local government, state government, to federal government sees what they can get out of them, and that is the truth.
Before we begin to wind down, we are just seeing Etisalat as the weeping, child here.
Yeah, but they were caught up.
They were caught up with these circumstances because we all know that this thing has been happening under the table and the rest of it. From 2015, Airtel started laying off, staff, and then it moved to Glo. Glo has also done the same thing, and then MTN over the past 1 year has laid off. Just very recently, we saw about 300 gone, and the rest of it. That does not state that that industry is healthy. How do we move forward from here to avoid a total collapse of this industry, Bayo?
Yeah, the telcos themselves will tell you, of course, like we had earlier mentioned, that the industry is heavily dollarized, both in the software and the hardware components of their operations. And of course, some people will say, like he tried to address the issue of capital market, the stock market, and though I have a different opinion on that, because the whole idea is the call to go to the capital market is to make their operations a lot more transparent because of its exposure to scrutiny, because questions will be asked. They have the audits, all of that will be made public. They have to publish, and if they lie, because it goes beyond the Nigerian economy, because in some cases, you have to also do multiple listing in other exchanges across the world for those of them that are multinational in operation. But and the whole idea is to help Nigerians also be a partaker of the profit, the so-called profit that we are talking about here, is to share, the dividends of that environment. However,
and also share the pain.
And also share the pains. That way you dilute the entire operation from the case of Etisalat now, where the majority shareholding is now, divesting and putting it into a trustee, United Capital trustee. We need to begin to address the issue of encouraging them to do their business right. And what do I mean? We need to begin to ask questions about their corporate governance.
Who should ask that?
A lot of components are involved in this.
Mm.
The regulator is involved. The CAC is involved. The Nigerian Parliament is involved. The tax office is involved. You see, a lot of companies have gone down today that have investment that could have changed the story of Nigeria as we speak.
So you have cables, you have laid fiber on the ground around Lagos and even in Delta State. What is happening that this issue cannot be resolved?
See, really, let us be honest. When human beings come together to create large structures like a country or like companies, everything is followed, has rules. To make something work in a big sense, you must have laws, regulations, rules, etc. And you will find that even countries like the US, where corruption is very high, they follow those rules. So I'd say in the US, it's more like the main law is don't get caught. But once you are caught, you're in for the high job. Now, here, you see, it doesn't matter in the long run what we do. If we do not respect laws, if we do not respect regulations and rules, things will eventually break down.
Are there rules as to how this can be resolved, the right of way?
You can't look. See, the right of way. So what? You try and resolve it. You put in these policies, but those that have the power to give or to take may introduce other personal tariffs.
We are talking about the politicians now, or the local governments, state level, and
whatever.
Governors of states.
And the issue is that it's like anything in a grouping. If your father is misbehaving, if your father smokes cigarettes, he can't tell you to stop smoking. He doesn't have the moral right to do so. So we have to face facts. It is not the issue really of corruption per se. Every country has corruption. It's the issue of blatant corruption. It's like justice. Justice is not really that important per se. It's that justice must be seen to be done.
So this rapid slide in Telecoms profile, is it that we cannot arrest it as a nation?
To be honest with you, it has to start from the top. I mean, you can see the soothing effects of our VP's statements to the issues that are prevalent there, because that's how he is. But others are even fanning the embers and whatever. And we have to realize in telecoms it is the same thing. I mean, you're doing regulation. That 2% annual operating is enough to do anything that the NCC wants to do. In fact, it got so large that they were now trying to move from being a regulator to technically an operator. You see, so the issue is, it's like trying to solve a problem like you want to get a monkey to fly an aircraft. You don't have the capability. So sort that one out. Get a human being. I know it's a bad analogy, but you know what I mean. It doesn't matter. You put in. Look, it's like when we talk of crime in Nigeria. We have all the laws. We have the anti-laundering law. We have all these whatever. But what is the issue? When you catch a person, you don't look through the logic. Like when I told you, look,
it's not like you are losing hope.
It's other countries have gone through this before.
But it's not like you're losing hope.
I mean, Britain at one time was so corrupt, but the sad thing is that most of these countries, like China, they had to eventually face facts.
But in the Nigerian case, there's hope.
Well, let's put it this way. This country, I think, has the highest profit index.
In that case,
in
there's
anything,
hope.
Yes, there's hope.
So, on the last line from you, there's hope. Do you see any hope?
It's conditional. It's conditional.
What are those conditions?
It's
in 1 minute.
It's dependent on our political will and putting the right people I mean, like a square peg in a square hole, or the round peg in a round hole. But for now, I have not seen that happening. And until that happens, then it will be an illusion, to begin to assume that we have hope.
So where is this big head coming from? The government, or the people, or the operators?
Leadership is about everything. When the head is rotten, what is the meaning of the body?
So that is the political leadership you are talking about now.
Yes, absolutely. And even leadership at those institutions that have been created, to superintend over some of the issues that we are trying to address here. If the leadership get it right, then everybody would, just align, and come to terms with the direction of flow.
Thank you very much for coming on the
pleasure.
show. I appreciate your time. Anyway, that is the show for the week. If you have any comment, please send them to bayero@gmail.com, or better still, you can text the number on your screen. Until next week, I remain yours sincerely, Bayero Agabi. Bye-bye.